Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my beautiful angels. Today, we have Barbara LaRocca as a guest. She's a certified hypnotherapist, a doctor of clinical psychology, as well as energy healing specialist. Barbara has worked with thousands of people in the area of consciousness and transformation for over 40 years. She uses NLP, Ericksonian hypnosis, energy medicine, Aboriginal healing, and she incorporates shamanism, Hawaiian, Tibetan, and Core Shamanism. It's such a pleasure and such an honor to have you here today. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on.
I love this blooming background that you have. And the thing that comes to me first is how or when or what happened in your life that shift where you decided to bloom from inside out.
I was called rather early. I was very shy and a bit of a person that was on their own in high school, believe it or not. And then there was a workshop given in the summer. The call came because the consciousness that was in the workshop, it was more exercises in getting to know people, a little bit more encounter like, even, to be honest. And I was so called to work with people then. All my choices from there on were about opening the energy up and realizing it. I had early experiences regarding Egypt and various countries where I knew I had been. And at some point, I started knowing I was from, I had Atlantean roots. All this stuff was just so huge, but it started in high school. And it led me to a group that I was in while I was in college, and the Seekers After Truth, which is a nice name. It was actually quite intense. So that's how it all began.
I was asking earlier because of the modalities they use, and you incorporate different things and you call it intelligence consciousness. Would you please tell us more about that?
That distills everything down to it, is if you're going to be in the earth plane, the requirement nowadays is to use your consciousness with intelligence. And that means that you watch who you are, you watch the world, you're there, your watcher is active, but your participator is also active. And when you both watch and participate, what you're doing is energy work, always. Because you have to, in order to relate to the world, in order to relate to other people, you're constantly working with the energy. Also, it's a reference to the fact that I combine psychology and metaphysics, and have done so since early on. And we have to do this right now, because if we don't proceed forward with intelligent consciousness, we won't give birth to a new time. And as Nietzsche says, chaos gives birth to a dancing star. And in a way, it's like letting your consciousness expand to that place of chaos that gives birth to a dancing star requires concentration, participation, and allowing yourself to be there.
So, if I'm understanding that correct, in any given moment of time, especially right now in this time in evolution, instead of simply being our physical body and being reactive to things that are happening around, we are becoming the watcher, the observer, that we step outside of the body and we see things as they're happening. And by doing that, we're able to not only sense and see things from our perspective, but actually see things from the perspective of the person we're speaking with. Am I correct?
Yes, well, all things are factored, including the fact that energy goes from inside at your core, it expands out to everywhere. And when you are participating in letting the vibrations be known to yourself without falling into somebody else's energy or falling into a trend of what's going on around you, is finding that place inside of you that can watch, participate, and shift your own energy field when necessary. And hopefully, because we'll all be doing it, it will help for a major shift for everyone.
As you're saying that, how can you distinguish if you are feeling your feelings or if you are in your balance and you're sensing only your energy field versus somebody else? Like, how can you tell the difference between what is authentically happening versus what our mind perceives?
Well, when you are grounded in your authentic self, that's one thing you do, but also when you're sensing in your core what is going on for yourself, how can I put this? There is an at-home feeling that you get for yourself, about yourself, when you're in that core. And if you're sensing others, you can tell the difference. There's a dissonance. And if you look at yourself, if you're really paying attention to the other person too much and bringing it in, your inner self is out of focus. So the idea is to bring your core into focus every day, to be grounded in your own authentic self. Pretty much it. Plus, there are other signs that you're not in yourself or just by yourself. One would be repetitive thoughts. Another would be visualizations that aren't yours or aren't necessary. They can appear like they're yours. But pretty soon, when you learn how to be conscious, you'll know when something else is in your energy field.
Mm. So conscious, that's simply making a choice of what I want to think about or focus on at any given point instead of getting drawn into what already shows up in our mind and getting caught up in that roller coaster.
Yeah, like not being in a reactive state, being in a place where you are responding to yourself, mostly being concerned. You don't have to have any feelings at all, as a matter of fact, but that you're present to the situation. And a lot of people get confused as to who's feeling what. And that is something that we're doing right now, because a lot of people are tuning into whatever's going on in the political situation, which I won't go into any detail, of course, but when you tune into it, you either react one way or another, and therefore you're constantly not in yourself, because the person you are may have to deal with not knowing what's really happening or what the real truth is. But when you're coming from that space and you're bringing in as much light as possible, then what you're finding is that you're reacting to the whole situation with much more clarity and a sense of putting the best energy into this any situation you're in, including your own day-to-day existence.
When you work with clients, with groups or one-on-one, what is the main problem that you notice that shows up in the past several months?
I would say one of the things that people are having a depression, a kind of gray feeling. And I do work a lot with professionals and all kind of people, but the professionals particularly feeling the dissatisfaction with their world. This would be in the shape of getting up in a given day and just not feeling excited, not having a sense of well-being. I'm hearing about relationship conflicts or a lack of relationships, a big change for most people, saying, I no longer can be with the same people. I need to, my tribe has shifted. I need to have a new tribe, a new location. So to kind of narrow that down is a big discomfort. It sounds simple, but it is not simple, because most people that are fairly intelligent think they've already tried to deal with this gray area. And they probably have applied all sorts of techniques. And right now, none of them are working. A lot of times, none of them are working. And so that's the people coming to me. Now, what do we do? How do we open up something from that seems to have no solution, that seems existential, when it isn't? It can be done from inside out.
If somebody came to you right now and they're dealing with major depression, what would be the first thing that you would ask them or suggest to do?
Well, the first step is always to define a little bit about how do they know that? How do you know you're depressed? What is it what's presenting in your world? And have you a way of looking inside that has helped that depression or hurt that depression? So we'll be discovering what is going on. That's always a first step. Plus the idea that maybe because they've tried other things, we need to ask, okay, what is it you tried that didn't work? So I need to know that. And after I do that, I'm starting to look for the energy. Where is their energy? Where is something that worked? Where is a time in their life that things did shine? And I call those the pearls. And those pearls are those times that just things fit. I'm trying to think of an example of a good fit, but I've had miracles occur where a really small The chip from my telephone fell on the floor when I was checking into the airport, and we found the chip. And so I was like, whoa, that was a good feeling. And so now when I've had a problem, sometimes I think of that chip, and you can put that energy right into the moment. There was a time where I needed a photo of myself, and I'm here thinking, how do I get professional photographs in the middle of COVID, which is when it was. And I put that energy of finding the chip into my body, mind, and spirit. And within about an hour, 2 hours, I found myself thinking about somebody who is the one who was able to refer me to the right person. They were willing to meet me within 2 or 3 days. It was perfect.
This is very profound because you found, for you specifically, is that chip of the phone, right? You found that moment in your life that you felt so empowered, so good, so amazing. And all you have to do at any given point in time is recall that feeling,
Right.
therefore aligning yourself with that vibration. And then when you are that vibration, manifestation, it's instant.
Or answers to a problem. That is probably one thing I love doing the most, is advising somebody on how to put that magic into their daily life in a practical manner. I have a friend that was going for a driver's test, and she was so worried. And I said, okay, is there something that really gives you pleasure or a well-being? Well, there's this one saint. I said, okay, when you go for your test, keep saying the saint's name over and over. And she did. And she passed the test. It was like, wow, because she'd already failed it. And she was going back for a retake, which was very upsetting to her. And she just repeated this thing that made her feel right and good and empowered. And they passed her.
Talking about superhuman hacks, as you're sharing the story, it reminds me of a friend of mine who was training to be a Navy SEAL, and he was jumping off the planes. And the way he managed to do that is because he was very much auditory, being a former musician. So what he would do, he would play in his mind a song that would make him so, so, so relaxed. And he would jump off the plane, like none of that. He would not allow any of those visuals to get in. He would just play and hum that song. So whatever your
So,
language is, if you're visual, then you see the most beautiful bouquet of flowers or maybe area of light, right? If you're
right.
clairsentient like me, then you go to a memory you felt so amazing, so good, right? If you clear audience, then you play certain music or sounds in your mind that get you in that place of balance. So anywhere you go in the world, you can have those tools on your fingertips, like build those anchors around the body or simply recall that memory. It's such a profound
And,
insight.
and to have a couple of them that feel suitable, and get to that place where you have a habit of going into your core space, using whatever tools that you need to use to get to that place. And then calling in what I call the pearl. I did it another time. I had drivers retest, eyesight test mostly, in Brazil to get my license. So I walk in and it's a dark room, and I went, oh no, I'm not going to be able to see this test. The test was on a piece of cardboard, handwritten. I'm going, this is ridiculous. Okay. So I dropped into and I have a piece of music I use for that too. I dropped into the sound. I thought about the pearl stuff that I think about. I used to think even all the systems, the auditory, the kinesthetic. I said, okay, get the feeling you're going to pass and portray it. And it's strange. The fellow giving the test was very kind. And I think he even helped me with the whole thing. And at the end, I passed to my surprise. And I'm pretty sure I didn't see much of the letters on that dang test.
This is so funny because I went through the same thing. Like I had to redo my test and I refused to wear glasses because I used to wear glasses in the past. And I remember like trying to look there and I couldn't see the letters and I would close my eyes and I couldn't see the letters and I was so stressed and the vibration of the entire place, the DMV, it's not necessarily the highest. And the person that was with me, she was trying so hard to help me. She's like, just try again, try again. I'm like, just give me a moment. And I close my eyes and I'm like, okay, let's raise the vibration of the entire DMV and every person here. And I felt the whole energy just changed. It was like much lighter. And I'm like, angels, if you're there, if I'm meant to receive this ID today, then please, from the highest magic, allow me to see. And I literally closed my eyes, I opened my eyes, and I saw the letters and I said them right away. I don't know how. And that was the first time I saw it. She's
Wow.
like, I have no idea how you did this. And I'm like, soul healing. Just come back to you. Because we
Absolutely.
knowingly we have access to such superpowers. But when we focus like, oh, why I need the eyes or something needs to be closed, I need to touch it to know it. No, simply come back to you because that your energy has no limit to how far you can go and find the answers. You can
But
tap into the other side of the world, you can tap into anything.
but if you contract around your fear and stay contracted, you have nothing. What I say to somebody, you don't have to get rid of the fear. I had somebody do that today. I said, increase it. They said, what? I said, increase. I said, expand the fear to the entire room. They said, what? I said, try it. I said, now expand the fear to the entire city. Expand the energy to the entire universe. And then I said, well, how do you feel? And he says, less fearful. I feel good. I said, okay, now you can make a decision from a place that's allowed the energy to go large. So in a way, it's as much as I like positives too. I mean, if you can do it, the angels will come in, saints will come in, ascended masters will come in, Merlin the magician will come in. But when sometimes just letting whatever's there expand. So it's relaxing, you're relaxing into it. It's an amazing thing because all feelings are energy. They're not, it doesn't matter what the feeling is, it's energy. If you resist it too much, I am feeling, I feel fear, I feel anger, I feel anxiety, whatever. When you resist it too much, it may not work to go inside. Sometimes it doesn't work to go inside and tune into the angels or that might work. But the other thing is let that be the energy and expand it. People tend to get excited and more tuned into what they can do. The universe starts to support them. Feeling is useful.
Yes, because the feelings are literally communicating where our mind is and if we're in alignment or not. If you're feeling good,
Right,
that means, you're
right,
entertaining conscious thoughts. They're empowering for you. And if you're feeling bad, it's because you're holding on to a truth or a belief that is hurting you, that is not aligned with you. So if you simply surrender, hey, maybe I do have a belief that is not really good, but let me
right.
surrender into it. Let me feel it. Let me say hi to it. Let me recognize that it's here. And sometimes just the acknowledgement that we are dealing with something, that we're feeling something, just simply being present with it allows the very thing to flow through.
Well, I find if I'm letting the feeling relax, whatever it is, really, really relax. Oftentimes I don't feel it at the moment, but I'm asking for that pearl to drop in because I can't feel it at the moment. I can't see it. I can't visualize anything. Oh my gosh. But I'm really saying, okay, I trust that if it relaxes, answers will come. And inevitably, that does open the door to answers because the expansion alone, that lets you expand to where the answers live. You just allow them.
If you
Yeah.
were to say something to our audience, which is one of the quickest and fastest hack to allow the flow of energy into our life, what would that be?
Breathe. I mean, it sounds trite, but breathe. Notice that you have a core, that there is a central column. And the other part of the hack was find a piece of music. I think that is actually, strangely, one of the best things I've ever discovered. Have a piece of music ready in your mind to hear when you need it, even if you don't feel it at the moment. And then have a few times in your world that you felt right. You felt like, oh, this is the right thing for me. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Have a couple of those to invite them back into your body. It's a quick hack. And it's the kind of thing that you don't have to believe it and you don't have to actually feel it or see it. You don't have to do anything but invite it. And when you do and you're breathing, it has an effect on everything. And if you wait for about 5 minutes while you're still breathing, it does take effect.
comes back to the same thing is having patience with ourselves, becoming the observer or the watcher, like you say, of what's happening in our lives, and truly tap in and get to know who you are, accept who you are, love who you are, and watch who you
Mhm.
are becoming every moment. This has been such beautiful, profound insights. Would you like to take us on a beautiful journey today?
Of course.
What would you like to share with us?
Well, let's do some work with the pearls.
I feel like I received the most beautiful and angelic pearl, and I already anchored it on my body so I can have access all the time. This is so beautiful, so
Cool. Well,
majestic. Oh, a little disclosure at the beginning of the journey, you're like, recall the first time you were riding your bike. And I'm like, I have yet to learn how to ride a bike. I had to
it's
go in a
okay.
past life when I knew how to do that.
I should have mentioned that. You can always go to a past life.
Yeah.
I even go to a future life once in a while where I'm driving a spaceship.
Ooh.
That one really helps. If I
Okay.
can drive a spaceship, I can do it, things now that are, simply much easier.
That is an amazing hack. I'm definitely going to do this journey again and go into the future and bring some of that in. Wow, that's genius. Thank you.
Well, it also is if you ever watch like the Star Trek or Star Wars or any of these shows, the captain has so much self-confidence. I mean, they have problems sometimes, but they also have amazing self-confidence. Why aren't they afraid of all that space? But they aren't. They just deal with whatever comes up and they really come up with inventive ways to move forward and to get through interesting problems.
Interesting as you say this, the download that just came through is that what if you surrender instead of fearing something that is going to go this way and this way and this way? If you're aligned with your mission, what if you just surrender knowing that no matter what you do or what you say, what you sense, it's perfectly fine for this moment in time?
It's even better than that. I live in a town where the people, I don't know them really well, sometimes the ones I would get a ride to the neighboring city with. And my Portuguese is terrible. I'm in Brazil. And I wouldn't know where they were going to drop me off if they understood what I had said or whether or not they were going far enough. And I would open completely to not knowing with the ideas that it was under the angels' wings. They would have the best solution for me. I didn't need to worry about it. And inevitably, they would drop me either exactly where I wanted to go, or one time they dropped me right near a taxi so I could get the taxi where I wanted to go next. It was so miraculous because there was a language barrier. There was a little bit of unknown, like I didn't know what was quite going on with where they needed to go. It was such a opening. And so every time I've had a problem, it's not that I can look for it to be the right place at the right time. And that sometimes I can do that too. But it's more like opening to having it work in a way I've never imagined I could have it work. So I
Mm.
like to add the magic twist. And if it doesn't, just being okay with what happens.
Very profound. And anytime you ask for something, leave that space. I want this or better because you never know what universe has in
Exactly.
store for you.
Yeah, I want this or better. Absolutely.
And I have another hack that I started practicing lately when things get so magical. I ask the question, does it get any better than this? And every single time I get a surprise within minutes. It truly works. Magic is everywhere, and the magic is within us. And the magic is what we're here to share. Every single speaker bring their light, bring their voice, bring their magic to share it with you. In conclusion, if there is anything you would like to share to that soul that is listening right now, the maybe is in that place of, I want to know what that intelligence consciousness is. I want to know what it feels like to be in that balance every single day. I want to know what it's like to just surrender and allow the angels to provide and align the day the way it's supposed to be aligned. What would you say to them?
I would say look at a kitten, a puppy, a baby, or listen to some music that just feels so good because it's not complex. That's the problem. Smart people try to get a complex, and all of you out there are smart, but it's like that's the problem. It's the simplicity. If you're going to tune into that open, kind, amazing space, then go for simple. The simplest thing you can think of. If it's music, fine. If it's, I mean, when I think of a kitten's eyes, or that puppy that looks up and goes, "Hey, I know you're going to take care of me," or the angels when you think about their wings being around you. These are simple hacks, and I think we forget and we make every situation complex when it's the energy you bring to that situation. If you can simplify it, that's the hack.
Mm. So the most amazing things are simple. like the best healing tools are free. Breathing, air, sun, nature,
Yes, exactly.
memories from the past. We can even with these beautiful journeys, we can travel the entire world in constellations from the comfort of our living room without having to even go to the airport. Imagine.
Exactly. And if you can do that, then you can open to having situations develop where you get to go places that you have never been before in reality. So in
Mm.
the real world, it's allowing those to be grounded in not knowing how they're going to happen, but that they can, and that if indeed they didn't for any reason, something better will happen.
Something better will happen. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing the beautiful journey, beautiful opening with us, your voice, your light, and your gift. I am so honored. Thank you so much. With utmost gratitude and pleasure, I welcome you, beautiful soul sister, to our amazing, amazing world.
Thank you for having me here so that we could do this together.
Because together we're stronger. Aho.
Absolutely.